A very good morning, dear students. So today we are going to start with our next chapter, that is water. This is chapter 5 of geography. Yes, water. We all know about water. We all know the uses of water, that it is used to drink, that it is used to take bath, that it is used to clean, to produce hydroelectricity. Okay, so we can say that water is the elixir of life. So before we go further on to discuss this chapter, I would like you to recall the four major domains of the earth that we all know. Number one is atmosphere, then is lithosphere, then we have the hydrosphere, and then we have the biosphere. What is atmosphere? Atmosphere is the blanket of air that surrounds the earth. Okay, that we have discussed in the previous chapters. Then we have lithosphere. What is lithosphere? It is the solid portion, the solid crust of the earth, that is called lithosphere. That is the land surface of the earth. Now, in this chapter, we are going to discuss about the hydrosphere. The part of the earth that contains water is called hydrosphere. And what is biosphere? Biosphere is the narrow zone of contact between land, air and water. This is the land, this is air, this is water. So, this is the biosphere, where there is a narrow zone of contact between the land, air and water is known as biosphere. So in this chapter we are going to discuss about hydrosphere, that is water. So water, you have been studying from the very third class that water is the only thing that exists in all the three forms. That is, it exists in solid form also, it exists in liquid form also, and in the gaseous form also. And one thing more, water continually changes its form, that we have known from solid to liquid, liquid to gaseous, solid to directly into gaseous state, that we have studied in the previous classes. And it circulates also among the oceans, atmosphere and the land. It means that water is available everywhere. On the land, that is the lithosphere, in the atmosphere and obviously in the water bodies. So in this chapter we are going to discuss about the water and how it is available to us. What is the water cycle? Now children, I would like to ask you that water is having so many uses in our life. We are using water in our everyday activities. So I want to ask you, where does this water come from? Somebody of you will answer that water comes from the taps in our houses, because you have seen the water coming out of the taps. Some of you will say that water comes from the water tanks through the pipelines into our house. And some other will say that water comes from the rain. So I would like to ask that, where does rain come from? You will say it comes from the clouds. So how did the water get there? Okay, there are a number of questions. To understand this concept, we must be clear about the water cycle. How the water circulates from the water bodies into the atmosphere to the land surface once again. So we are going to discuss the water cycle. What happens, beta? You know about the water bodies, the oceans, the seas. Due to the excessive heat of the sun, what happens? This water gets evaporated. By the process of evaporation, the water molecules convert into gaseous particles. They get evaporated into the atmosphere. Also, because of the process of transpiration, water droplets reaches to the atmosphere, and after reaching here, due to the virus humidity in the atmosphere, because of the presence of the water molecules, okay, that we know. But these water molecules on going upwards and upwards, what happens? They get condensed to form the clouds. These water droplets join together to form these clouds. And because of more and more humidity, because this is a evaporation is a continuous process, when the clouds cannot hold more amount of water, what happens? It rains, and that water once again comes down to the surface by the process of precipitation. What happens in precipitation? This water comes down in the form of rain, and once again, one way or the other, it once again moves to the water body. So this is the process of water cycle. Now students, we have understood about the availability of water, how water comes, from where does the water come. Alright, what are the uses that you already know. So now we are going to discuss about the distribution of water bodies. Okay, how is this water distributed on the earth's surface? Alright, so about 3/4 of the earth's surface, about 71% of the earth's surface is covered with water, that we already know. Out of that percentage, 97% water is found in the oceans and the sea. And you know that ocean water or the sea water is saline, that it is salty, and it is not fit for human consumption. So this much amount of water that we cannot use. Okay, out of this percent only, out of 100%, 97% water is saline that we cannot use, and what is that? Only 3%, only 3% fresh water is available, out of which 2% of the fresh water is in the solid form. So how can we use that? It is in the solid form, in the form of ice caps, in the form of glaciers. Okay, and what is remaining? 3 minus 2 is 1%. Only 1% water is remaining that can be used for human consumption, and this water is available in the form of streams, in the form of ponds, in the form of river. So this is the distribution of water bodies. Now children, as we have discussed about the distribution of water bodies, you might be wondering that 97% of the water is in the oceans and the seas, and it is saline, and it cannot be used by the human beings. Why is this water saline? Why is the ocean water saline? So let us discuss. The ocean water is saline because of the presence of different salts and minerals in it. For example, potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium. Due to the presence of these salts and these minerals in the ocean water is saline, and it is not fit for human consumption. So the measurement of the content of salt, the amount of salt that is present in the water body, it is known as the salinity. So this is how there is salinity in the oceans, and the average salinity on the earth is 35 grams salt per 1000 grams of water. So this is the average salinity on the surface of the earth. Now I want to add one thing, that the salinity differs. हर ocean का हर part जो है same salinity नहीं होगी, कहीं पर ज़्यादा होती है, somewhere there is less salinity. Why? Because the oceans that are directly over the sun heat, that are directly over the heat of the sun, so what will happen? Evaporation will be a continuous process going on there. So because of the evaporation, it will be more saline. Alright, and those oceans which are adjoined by the rivers, जिनमें river water भी fall होता है, river water mixed होता है, that will be less saline because rivers are not saline. Alright, The places that will be near the equator, they will not be much saline because of the rainfall. There is much rainfall over there. Alright. And last is the polar regions, the frigid zones where there is snow all around. What will happen over there? There will be no evaporation, so it also cannot be saline. Alright, so this was all about the salinity of the oceans. Now, we are going to discuss about the circulation of ocean water. How is the ocean water circulated? First of all, I would like you to recall that most parts of the earth are covered by vast oceans. There are vast oceans on the surface of the earth. Alright, and these ocean water, it is in continuous movement because of the continuous flow of the water. So, there are basically three factors that are responsible for the movement of the ocean water. What are those factors that are responsible? Number one, the effects of the wind. The winds that keep on blowing, the planetary winds. So, number one is the effect of the winds. Then it is the difference in the density and temperature of the ocean water. The places where there will be direct sunlight over the ocean, it will be warmer. The water over there will be warmer. Okay, so this difference in density and temperature of the ocean water leads to the ocean flow of the ocean water. Then last is the difference in the salinity of ocean that we have already discussed, that the salinity of ocean is different from place to place. Alright, so how many types of movements of oceans are there? There are basically three types of the movements of oceans. Number one is waves, number two tides, and number three the ocean current. So in this chapter further we are going to discuss about these three movements of ocean water in the form of waves, in the form of tides, and in the form of ocean currents.